You're definitely going to want to stick around and watch this video. I think this has some of the best information that I have given yet. I know this can help greatly, and this is something that you can do years before you're even going to build your spec home. So stay tuned. Good day, everybody. I hope you're doing well. Today I want to talk about selections, vendors, some of the first things that you do when you're going to start building a spec house or thinking about building a spec home, or you've got a customer that you're going to be working with and building a home for. It all kind of ties together. So the first thing that will just make everything so much easier is getting the selections done sooner rather than later. So it's just really crucial, in order to give yourself a smooth building process, and with the timing of everything too, to have the most efficient build that you can. If you're able to order everything before you even start, you've got everything picked out and ordered before you even break ground or start site work or whatever it is that you're doing to start off, you are going to have a much more smooth, efficient, and timely build. So that is the best general rule of thumb right there. And if you've got customers, like when we have somebody that comes in and we start talking, and sometimes it's even before they've given us a commitment, I will have them go and meet with the fireplace company. I don't need to have a blueprint for that. They can go there. The fireplace company will show them the standard unit that we include with our homes, and they'll show them the standard stones that are included with our homes. So that way they can basically go there and verify and say, yeah, we're good with that. Or if they want something that's above and beyond that, they can make that selection while they're there. A fireplace, the lead times on some of these units, our standard units that we use, those aren't too crazy with the lead times, and they do have some of those in stock. But for, if somebody's going to do more of that rectangular type fireplace or something that's a little more custom, it's months and months and months. So the fireplace unit itself has to go in after the house is framed. So after the home is framed, after rough plumbing, HVAC, and electrical, that's when the fireplace is getting installed. So it needs to be there, and you've got to order that well ahead of time to make sure that you've got it in time for when you need it. Otherwise, you're going to have delays there. So real quick, I just want to throw in a little pump for my consulting coaching services. I've got a few different options. My starting point one's only $5 a month. You get so much for that. There's a membership with a private Facebook group. We're up to about 40 people in there. And the great thing about that is it's still, at this point, you ask a question in there, I can answer it. I can provide different forms and checklists within that group. I can answer questions. It's just a good community. Hey, you can see what somebody else is doing. You can ask questions and get others who are in the group responding as well. It also includes access to videos that I do specifically for the membership, and it provides checklists for selections, finding a lot, for budgeting, all kinds of different checklists and forms that I use. The next step up from there also includes monthly Zoom Q&A calls. So we can do a once or twice per month where you can actually ask me questions live and I can answer those for you. And then I've got one step up from there, which is an hourly monthly call. I'll put all that info in the details below. The other thing that this kind of goes into is having relationships with certain vendors. And this is something that you can do. One of my last videos, I mentioned the fact that even if you are 2 years away from building a spec home and you're not planning on doing anything for 2 years, even 5 years, go out and you can get relationships established with a countertop company, a cabinet company, flooring company. Ideally, you don't want to be using, Home Depot or Menards or Lowe's for those things. If you're using a company that specializes in, selling and designing cabinets, you're going to have a much better experience going through them. And it's just going to be easier for you and the customer. If you're using Home Depot and you send somebody in to Home Depot to choose their cabinets, is there somebody specifically that you're working with there at Home Depot? I don't know what the turnaround time is with people that work there, but say you've got somebody that you've been working with there, and all of a sudden he or she is gone, and you've got to establish a relationship with someone else, and they're no good. If somebody's working at a cabinet company, usually they're going to be there. That's kind of that's their profession. They're going to be there long term, and that's what they specialize in. So if you send somebody to a cabinet company, you can send the blueprints. You can let them know, hey, this is the type of cabinet that I have budgeted, and then here's the contact info for the customer. So that way, when the customer comes in, ideally the cabinet company will have a drawing already put together, and they'll send that back to you first. That drawing is based upon what you sent them. It's based upon the blueprint. It's based upon what you told them you're budgeting in for cabinets. So now they're going to send you back a bid, a base bid, which is what you need to fill in your budget sheet as well. So this is needed in that aspect of it too. But now you've got a base bid. And so what that does is that establishes a dollar amount, so that when the customer goes in and meets with that cabinet designer, the cabinet designer can show them the 3D layouts, pictures, views of the kitchen, and say, this is what's accounted for in your pricing. And of course, almost everybody seems to end up doing upgrades. They want to add in, roll-out trays or more drawer bases or whatever it is that they do. But that way, they can choose the extras that they want to do above and beyond what's budgeted in. And then the cabinet designer can revise the cabinet drawings and the pricing, and then they can send back the pricing to yourself and the customer, and it'll tell them, here's what your base bid was, $10,000 for everything in the house. Here's what your revised bid is based off of the meeting that we had. It's $13,000. So now there's a difference of $3,000. You definitely want to, as a builder, of course, you've got your profit and overhead that you're going to figure into your budget and what you're going to make on a build. But there's a lot of things that can, and including cabinets. Like, what if you get a base bid on cabinets, you put your budget together basing that the cabinets are going to be $10,000 for the house, but right before you order the cabinets, there's a 5% increase on cabinets. So now you've just kind of, and you've already given the customer pricing, or you've already got a sales price for your spec home, whatever the case may be. Now you're over budget with that. So what you want to do is add a 20% markup and you can pick whatever percentage that you want. But if you add a 20% markup to your cabinets and let the cabinet designer know, put the base bid together, send it back to me and the customer. The customer knows where the starting point is. After the customer comes in and meets with you, send back a revised bid. Send me the bid with my pricing as the builder. Send the customer the same bid, but add 20% to it. That way, the cabinet company is sending the customer back the revised price that shows what the new total is, including your markup that you're going to make on there, because that's going to help with other things that kind of break your budget apart. So that's what you want to have done. That's a good example of what to do with cabinets, as opposed to using a big box store. It's not going to be as easy to do anything like that with a big box store. Ideally, you want to have vendors that you can go to for your flooring, for your cabinets, your light fixtures, your countertops, and fireplace. And even like interior doors and exterior doors as well. Sometimes lumber yards will have displays with exterior doors and things like that. But it'll just make the selections process easier if you can go and look at things, or if you can have customers go and look at things. And the reason that you want to do this before you get started, say you're going to start building a spec home, you have somebody that comes along and wants to buy it right off the bat. If you don't have relationships or vendors picked out that you're going to send people to, it's kind of hard to do this if you've already got somebody you're working with. That's why you want to get this set up ahead of time. Flooring, another great example of why you want to use a flooring vendor instead of just a big box store. So kind of the same thing with cabinets, is you're going to send your blueprint to that person, that salesperson at the flooring company that you've chosen to work with, and you're going to let them know what the budget is. That way, when the customer goes in to pick flooring, the salesperson can show them all of the floors that are going to be within their budget. And then the same thing there, if they choose to upgrade with certain things, the flooring vendor can let them know how much more it is, and you can do a change order that says, okay, we had a $20,000 allowance for floors. You ended up picking, $24,000. So there's going to be a price difference of $4,000. And then it's a great way for you to be able to fill in your budget as well and get a realistic amount for flooring, countertops, things like that, so that you can plug in numbers that are actually going to be accurate. If you're using a big box store, you don't know who's going to be working there, and you can't just necessarily send customers in to go meet with somebody there, and you may not be able to email them blueprints. It's just going to be a lot harder of a process. If somebody goes into a flooring vendor and they pick out flooring, usually that flooring company can hold the flooring, or they can order the flooring. They might even be able to lock in a price for it. But if you're using a big box store, that's not going to be the case there. They may not be able to hold it for you. They may say that, okay, if they're going to pick out this flooring, you need to buy it all now in order to get this price. We can't hold it or even guarantee that we're going to be able to get this stuff in the future. Countertops, same thing there. If you've got a showroom that they can go look at and they can pick out countertops, the countertop company can hold those countertops there up to a certain point. Usually with us, once the house is in the drywall stage, then at that point, the countertop company can actually hold the countertops for us. They can't hold them that long. So you can, wait to send somebody in, or you can wait to go pick out your countertops. But I would suggest going in still ahead of time in the beginning of the process and just getting everything picked out, so you know what you're doing, you know what all of your costs are. So it's just hugely important to have these selections done before you get started. It's just going to make everything so much easier. Another tip, there are places, flooring for example, where you can go and buy flooring, but you would have to get your own installer. And that can pose a little bit of a problem. And we had an issue with that years ago, and we stopped doing that because we had somebody that supplied their own floors, and then I helped them find somebody that could install the floors. Well, after the floors went in, there ended up being an issue with the floor, and we got caught in the middle of it because the flooring supplier said it was the install. That's the reason why there's this, creaking noise with the floor. And the installer said it's the product that we use. It wasn't our install. And then they're going back and forth, and you, as the builder, are somewhat responsible because you recommended the flooring installer. You sent them to that place where they picked out the floors, and now you're caught in the middle of it. If you're using a flooring company that is not only supplying but installing the floors, if there's an issue with something, they're responsible for it. And that same thing holds true for any of the, like the drywall, for example. If you're using a drywaller, they should be responsible for everything: supplying the drywall, hanging the drywall, taping and mudding the drywall. And they may have different crews that they use to hang and tape and mud and even finish the drywall. But if it's all through the drywall company that you chose, or that individual that's responsible for everything, if there's an issue with the drywall after it goes in, and there's seams that you can see, or there's repairs that are needed, or whatever it is, there's no, the drywaller can't say, well, it was the installer, or it was the way that they put the finish on there. If they're responsible for everything, it doesn't matter what the problem is, they're responsible for it. Flooring is huge. I mean, you can spend thousands and thousands of dollars on flooring, and if there's an issue with it and you're caught in the middle of it, you could end up being responsible to have that floor taken out and then reinstalled, and you're going to end up losing money out of your pocket because of something that wasn't even your fault. It may take time to find vendors that you're happy with and that you want to use. So that's why, if you can do this before you're starting your home, a year before you're even going to be starting your home, establish these relationships with vendors. Go into the flooring company, ask who's the one that me or my customers would meet with if I send somebody in here. Let that person know how you want your process to be and what you're going to expect from them. Let them know, hey, I'm going to send you a blueprint. I'm going to send you the customer's contact information. I'm going to send you what their flooring allowance is, and I want you to contact them to set up a meeting with them. And this is something too that can help save you time, because if you are carting your customers around and you're making sure that they're going to all these vendors and you're having to go with them to pick everything out, that can take a ton of time. So if you've got people that you already have relationships with and you trust them, you can save yourself a lot of time, because now you can just send that initial email with that initial information, and then they can contact the customer to come in and get everything picked out and send you the information. If we're going to be building a custom home for somebody and designing a home for them, that blueprint process can take months. And the whole process in general, I mean, you've got the time in which you meet with the customer, you gather the information, you get the information that you need to for their blueprint notes, or maybe they bring in a floor plan that they found online. Either way, you need to have that drawn up into blueprint form so that you can take that blueprint and send it out and get bids back from everybody, so that you can give that customer an exact price and tell them this is what the build price is going to be, and you can put your building contract together based off of that. So while all of that is happening, you can have the customer go out and pick the flooring and look at countertops and look at cabinets and kind of get things picked. So that way, once you get a blueprint, if the customer's already picked the type of flooring that you like, now you can take that blueprint, you can send it to the flooring company. They know what to price it out as, because that customer's already been in there, picked the product that they want, and now they can put a number together. So when you're putting your bid together and you're in the bidding process of bidding out that blueprint for a customer, now you've got an exact number based upon exactly what they picked. It's not just a guesstimate that you're going to put in there. So that helps the process as well, with you giving them a more accurate number right off the bat, as opposed to giving them a build price based off of just what you think they might pick or what you would put in there. And then once they go and pick everything out, everything they choose is way more than what you would have budgeted in there. So you've already given them a price, but now you've got to go back to them and, based upon what you picked, it's going to be, this much more. And that's never any fun to do. It's never any fun to have to go back to the customer and let them know that the price is way more than what you initially told them. There's a lot of things that you can start doing and planning well before you're actually going to break ground with the spec home. If you think that this is something that you want to do in 2 years from now, that's when you're going to have the money saved to do this. Go out there, meet with different lenders, find a different lender that you're going to work with. Go out there and find different vendors that you want to work with. And one of the general rule of thumbs too with these vendors and putting like a base bid together for you is letting them know that, hey, I don't want the cheapest flooring, cheapest cabinets. I don't want the highest end cabinets either. Do something that's more middle of the road. So when you're putting together numbers and budgets and things like that, use something that's middle of the road. Unless you're trying to hit that really, really low price point, and that's what your business model is for your spec homes, is to try and meet a really low price point with a smaller home and real simple, basic finishes. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that, but you can let these different vendors know what you're trying to do. And with cabinets, for us, we actually use the starting point cabinet. That's what we use in most of our homes. And that cabinet it comes in a lot of different colors, finishes, door styles. There's a lot of different options with it. So they do have a really inexpensive cabinet that you can do the whole home with. But if the customer or yourself doesn't like that, you can upgrade within that cabinet line and still keep prices reasonable. But then they do also have other cabinet lines that are above and beyond that one. And the price, the next step up, the next cabinet line up, it's almost double of what that first one is. So it's probably better to start with lower end. To kind of scratch what I said before, maybe start with lower end finishes, you know, as far as budgeting for flooring, cabinets, countertops, and then work your way up from there. When you're meeting with different vendors, this is also something that can kind of help you establish what your standards are going to be. So if you get to a point where you're ever going to have base prices and you have different home plans on your site, you're going to want to have what's included with your homes as standard, what goes into that base price. So you want to have a cabinet line and door style picked out so that when you tell somebody this is what the price of the house is, they know that it includes this particular cabinet line and door style. So that way, if you're having the conversation of, you know, they're telling you what you want or what they want, and they want something that is a lot different than what you include with your homes, that's at least something that you can tell them right off the bat that, hey, the cabinets that you're telling me about are going to end up being more than what's included with the house. So let's do this. I'm going to send this plan to the cabinet company. They're going to give me a price of what all of the cabinets are in this home plan that you've picked out. Now you can go meet with the cabinet company. You can tell them exactly what they want. They can revise the bid. Now you can see the difference between the two, and you know, and that can kind of help you pick what you want to do in the house. And that way it's very just clear cut and transparent for the buyer. And the same thing holds true for everything, for fireplace, for countertops, for flooring, for light fixtures. You want to have kind of a standard budget allowed for flooring that accounts for this, that, and the other. And you want to have an established, you know, starting amount for light fixtures so that when you're sending a blueprint to, or when you're meeting with the customer and the customer's kind of, you know, telling you what they want through their home and you're getting an idea of the types of finishes that they want in there, you can take and give them an appropriate light fixture allowance. Now, as a general rule of thumb, we take the amount that we spend on all of our light fixtures in our model, and that's what I beef up their light fixture allowance to. So we include a light fixture allowance of $850 in all of our homes, and that really isn't going to cover ceiling fans and all the light fixtures that people are going to do in a home. Realistically, we spend about $3,000 in our model. So I've got a base price for all of our homes, but when I'm telling somebody or showing somebody what the build cost is going to be to build the particular home that they chose, I'm going to factor in $3,000 for the lights, not $850, because that's what they're seeing in our model and that's what we spent there. Same with flooring. We've got a base amount that we include with all of our homes, which is $3.50 per square foot. That's not going to give most people what they're wanting or expecting in their homes. So if you can at least have that starting point allowance of $3.50 a square foot, I know based upon the homes that we do and what we do in our models, people are spending double that. So what I automatically do, just like the light fixture allowance, is I'm going to take that flooring allowance amount, that base amount, and I'm just going to add to make it double. That way, when I'm showing somebody pricing or giving somebody pricing, I've got a realistic amount in there for the flooring, and I can tell them, hey, the flooring allowance amount that we have in here that I priced into the home, that's going to give you what you see here in the model. And you don't have to pick exactly what you see here in the model. There's a lot of different types of floors that will fall within that same price point, but at least you know that you can choose something of similar quality that we have in the model here that you're looking at and seeing. So just to go back and recap and hammer this home, get the selections done as soon as possible. And if you're in a position where you're just starting off and you don't know a cabinet company, you've never worked with a flooring company, you've never gotten countertops from a countertop company, go out there and meet with some of these different vendors, establish relationships with a light fixture company, if there is one near you, a countertop company, a flooring company, cabinet company, fireplace company. Go out and find vendors that you want to work with. Or maybe there's only one in your area and you don't really have any other choices, but it's going to be better working with them than it is a big box store. So if you could go out and do that ahead of time, you're going to be much better off. And again, if you've got somebody that comes along that wants to buy your spec home, have them start the selections process as soon as possible. Or if you are at a point in which you've got your floor plan, you're going to be getting ready to start your spec home, go out there and pick all of your selections. It's going to make your process that much smoother. You're not going to be, you're going to be busy once this home starts. And the last thing that you're going to want to do is have to pull away to go pick out and finalize cabinets so that they can be ordered when they're supposed to. And things like that can end up causing delays. If you haven't chosen cabinets and now your house is at a point where cabinets can be ordered, and if they're not ordered right now, there's going to be a delay, and you're going to cause a delay with your building process. Now you're stressing about that. I got to get my cabinets chosen, and maybe that ends up being something that delays your build. So it's just going to cause you to have a much better process, be way ahead of the game if you can go out and do that right away in the beginning before you start. Okay, that's all I've got for this video. Thank you so much for your time. I hope this is helpful. If you don't subscribe, please do so. Click the little bell for notifications so you can get notified of more videos like this. Take care.